We're talking about WandaVision today. Quick recap of the show so far, how we feel, favorite characters. Not gonna lie, I wasn't too impressed with the first three episodes. Like I feel much more, but things really started kicking off once we got to that fourth episode, and the direction that the show's taken is just unbelievable. For starters, I really love how the MCU is able to take the most minor side characters and turn them into something huge. Like, who would have thought that moving forward? Monica would be so huge at this point, where we have most people know her as Captain Marvel's best friend's daughter, and now she has a critical role. And then Jimmy Woo, who was stirring up his own spinoff at this point, so that's what Marvel's really great at doing. And then we have the whole tension between Wanda and Vision themselves, which is huge. I know Isaiah can back me up on this. Where the role of Vision wasn't done like correctly, in my opinion, throughout the movies, and he just was put to the side too much. But this show has actually made us really root for Vision and like appreciate him as a character. Overall, the most impressive thing to me is just the women in the casting as well. The women have been carrying the show between Darcy Lewis, Monica, obviously Wanda, and now Agatha. But yeah, I think it's been going very well, and we're very excited to see what the two final episodes will bring in.
Yeah, I mean, you made some good points, Tim. Going into the show, I mean, I guess Tim, at least probably two of my least favorite characters in the MCU are Wanda and Vision. Put them in a show together. I think we were 3 episodes in. I hadn't even watched one yet. I was not interested in the show, and then watched 1 or 2 episodes. I was hooked, and every single Friday I look forward to this show now. It's so addicting. And everything they're introducing and all the theories getting thrown around are just super exciting to me, and I cannot wait to get into the multiverse and all these other dimensions and all that stuff going forward with the MCU. And I think Wanda was the perfect character to introduce all this stuff. Tim made a really good point with the girls carrying this show. MCU has been I feel male dominated between especially the first original 6 Avengers, and now with Darcy, I mean, she's a computer whiz. Monica, the fact she has a superpower now, we'll get into that later, is just absolutely insane. Wanda, I mean, we knew she was a badass. We had no idea to this extent, I mean, she can absolutely alter realities, whether it's her or Agatha. And Agatha went from just a little cute neighbor who I think we all thought, there was something more going on with her. And I mean, it reveals she's Agatha Harkness, the evil witch from the comics. I'm super excited to learn more about her character. I would say my favorite characters in this show right now are obviously Wanda. I think Pietro is extremely interesting. I want to know what exactly he is, whether he's a Quicksilver, if he's being possessed by Agatha, or if this is a super long shot, if he's related to Mephisto in any way. And then I really like Darcy as well. I think she's going to play she's already played an important role cracking the television broadcast, but I think she's going to play another big role coming forward too.
So I know many people, going into the show, they were kind of turned off by it with the first 2 episodes being released and having it be in black and white. And it was a lot slower paced than what we're used to with the MCU. So many people I ask oh, have you watched the series yet? And they're like, no, not yet. Kind of seems slow. And I'm telling them, you just got to get through those first 3 episodes and it's game over. It just, episode 4 comes in and it kind of just kicks your ass and everything starts to piece together. So yeah, like you said, Isaiah, every Friday it's I get up earlier than I have to. It's my day off. But I wake up, make my coffee, and I'm on my phone ready to watch some WandaVision. Character-wise, I would definitely say just Elizabeth Olsen in general as Wanda or Scarlet Witch. To see her progress since first saw her in Age of Ultron, it's just been incredible. So it really kind of goes as one of those performances that I think are under the radar. And then the more that you hone in on it, the more you begin to appreciate it. So her as Wanda is definitely a great thing for the MCU. Paul Bettany as Vision, we had him as Jarvis in the first few Iron Men, and then eventually, his transition into Vision. And also, like you said, Isaiah, he was kind of I don't want to say a background character, but I think he was definitely underutilized in the movies. But, going forward now, he's a synthezoid, but we get to see more of his humane side and his humanity in him, when he's trying to break out of the hex to tell the sword agents to help the people inside. That's why we're able to see him lift Thor's hammer in Civil War. And then even for like the side characters, or the characters that are starting to build up, such as Agatha. Interestingly enough, I was looking at her actress, and I was like, oh man, where's this lady from? So originally, first thing that came to my mind was that she was the wife in Step Brothers, um, of the car scene when they're all singing "Sweet Child of Mine." She's the wife, and then she had done another Marvel movie. She was the voice actress for Olivia Octavius in Into the Spider-Verse. So that was interesting. So it's not obviously her first rodeo with Marvel, but seeing her on-screen presence, when you first see it, it's like, oh my God, this girl's like kind of cringe. But like if she makes you like feel that certain way, I think she's doing her job as an actress and really selling the character. You got to remember, like, that's not really her, that's her character. So it really draws the audience in. So I'm just excited to see what the next 2 episodes bring.
Going off that, you can always tell she was trying to get involved because every episode she's just butting her way into the house. She's just trying to get like up into the business of Wanda and Vision. So we knew something was coming like this for sure.
I was gonna say, I thought it was interesting. And I could definitely tell something was off with her, especially in the episodes when the twins are born, because they go from literally babies. 12, what are they, 10, 8, 10, 12 now?
They bumped up to 10 in
preteen,
like barely just over an episode.
Yeah, and she didn't even blink an eye. I know Wanda, we all thought at the time Wanda was controlling everything, so maybe that's why. But I think that was a big key into realizing, like, there's definitely something suspicious going on with her, and I'm glad that they introduced it at the very end of the last episode, just because, like, I think that's what everybody's going to be talking about until the next episode. Marvel's so good with cliffhangers. I don't think anyone does it better than them.
Overall reactions on, like, the theme of, like, every episode is, like, a different decades, like, sitcom. Like, how do you guys think that's working for, like, one, for, like, a Marvel Cinematic Universe approach, but, like, how does that, like, just as fans, like, how do you think that's, like, been, like, is it working? Is it not working? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think they're killing it. Like, Marvel is nailing it. Like, it's pretty obvious which one's which, from background sets to dialogue to, the most recent episode, how they break the fourth wall and, like, they'll pan out, just like in Modern Family, and then, a character says something, then they go back to the show. Like, they're hitting a home run with that. I'm wondering, does it play a role at all? It's WandaVision, so it obviously is all about a TV show. But I'm wondering if, like, each sitcom has a deeper meaning at all, or if it's just kind of like another little teaser to, like, the multi-universe type theory, because it's all different realities, when you break it down.
Like I said earlier, I think with the first 2 or 3, having it be in black and white, that was a very risky move. But then you see it kind of evolve into more of like a Roseanne or a Full House kind of vibe, and then it just kind of keeps going up to, like you said recently, Isiah, like Modern Family, where they have the interviews where they're just kind of talking to the camera or talking to the audience, and then the scene when Vision and Darcy are in the car talking. Vision he kind of like turns and looks at the camera, like a classic Jim moment from The Office. So that's like another classic 2000s. But yeah, definitely as they started climbing up through the decades, it just got better and better. So I think what they're doing hasn't been done before, and I think it's really paying off.
I just wanted to chime in real quick because Matt made a really good point about The Office and how, like, does a Jim look away. I was I was on TikTok all week, like, just scrolling through bajillions of different theories. And someone made a really good point that the theme song music was almost parallel to the Office theme song. There's so many questions on if any of this plays a factor or if this is all just like, a tease to fit in.
Any predictions on, like, what other sitcoms we will see, if any, in the next 2 episodes?
I was just say, like, I don't think there would really be any new ones because of how dated Modern Family is. Like, it's pretty relevant. And the fact that I think the next 2 episodes are going to take place in, like, real time. Like, it's not we're not gonna have to do, like, all that sitcom stuff and then develop the plot of the show. I think, like, they're gonna jump, especially with that mid-credit cutscene. Like, I think that's exactly where it's gonna take off from, and we're gonna get to the new one. Or I think maybe the next episode might start with Vision getting home to know Wanda. But if they were to do another thing, maybe the Big Bang Theory, because it could be the start of the multiverse.
That's what I was thinking. Yep.
But that's really my only.
It's the only one I could think of.
On that.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, Modern Family is pretty much like the pinnacle of sitcoms. But then I forgot, oh god, I hate the Big Bang Theory. That's why Yeah, that's why I didn't. That's why I didn't really like think of it. But
I think it would play a role. Just plus they have all their superhero talk, but
right.
just
I
all the science in that show, and that's we're definitely on the scientific aspect of WandaVision. So
I feel like they're
Mm.
so kind of like you said, Isaiah, with that mid-credit scene. I feel like they're so kind of deep into it now. The next two episodes, hopefully, they are the hour-long episodes. I
Yeah,
think
that's
it'll go to
not.
just go into like the classic MCU style where it's like, it's just going to be the story. There's nothing like I feel like Wanda's so focused with what's going on now that in her head she's kind of losing the whole idea of this fake reality, because that fake reality it's real now. Like stuff is going down, and I feel like
Mhm.
she's just not going to be protecting herself from the outside. She's going to be worried about like what's actually going down.
How huge are these commercials too that they show us every episode? We just had the Nexus one. It was a very important one about Lagos. I think episode 5. That
Hmm.
one was huge. I was talking about her PTSD from obviously Lagos, when she just regret, guilt, everything like that. So clearly these commercials are just her state of mind, how she's feeling, and her path. Do you want to talk about the Nexus? Actually, we should catch up with episode 7 before we talk about future commercials.
I think the Nexus, that's going to definitely have it can play like two roles in the way that it's being brought up. Obviously in the commercial it kind of like brought up the fact of, you take it and it's supposed to kind of cheer your mood, and it's almost like an antidepressant. And then we see throughout that episode like Wanda's kind of like burnt out, like she doesn't want to get out of bed, she needs to take a personal day. She sends the kids with Agatha. But the Nexus in the comics, it's like referred to as this alternate reality or realities that can be accessed. And then there's also things known as Nexus characters. So we know that Wanda is a Nexus character because she has that control of not only her reality, but she can kind of go throughout other realities as well. But then there's the Nexus that is brought up in the movies, which is seen as a computer database where every piece of information goes through, and it has access to all this different knowledge. There was actually a theory I saw that we all know from the movies, like, Ultron is ultimately wiped out from, what we think the internet by Vision at the very end. Like he kills the very last robot. I know there's a lot of kind of Ultron theories going on, and they're saying like he could be actually locked up in that Nexus, just kind of waiting to pop out, or maybe he's already within that universe somehow. There's a lot that we could get into with Ultron, but that's what I was thinking about that Nexus commercial.
This little theory just came to me with the Nexus. So, I mean, obviously, I think the commercials are about her subconscious and grief she's been through. She doesn't know what Nexus is, I don't think. But one thing that's very interesting, I was looking online, Scarlet Witch, which is the X-Men version of Wanda, is a Nexus being. Which is like, she can control the gateway, multi-dimensions and all that stuff. And bringing up X-Men, I know Pietro was summoned by Agatha. What if Agatha pulled him from an X-Men dimension? And now Agatha, now that she just control of Wanda, what if she shows Wanda all these other multi-dimensions and shows her the Scarlet Witch version of her, where she learns about Nexus and the fact that she's a Nexus being? I think that's a great way they can open up the multi-dimension universe theory, because they say this show is the stepping stone for Doctor Strange 2. And speaking of Doctor Strange, like
Where's the Doctor Strange show,
I
man?
hope he is in this show. There's been some theories that he's that bunny, but I thought Matt brought up a really good point a while ago about how the bunny, and she refers to him as what
His name is
Senor
Senor
Scratchy.
Scratchy.
Senior Scratchy, and the brother. But I'll let Matt take over about that later. But just the fact that they, said Nexus can cure your depression, what if the fact that she will, now know that she is this Nexus being who can control all these or open up all these dimensions, maybe that helps her come back to this reality in a way. Or maybe she can pull Vision from another dimension and actually bring him to the MCU for real this time, where he won't die outside the Hex.
Obviously, the Mephisto theories are through the roof. I don't know if you guys saw like one of the ones that they talked about, but when like everything's kind of glitching in the house, like it keeps on changing, and it's also in the comics. But his first like appearance in the comics was of a fly, and you kind of think like Mephisto's kind of personified or is kind of depicted as the devil. All the subtleties to potentially his existence or his kind of greater presence within the show can definitely be like picked apart, whether it's going to happen or not. we got 2 episodes to see.
Isiah, you had a lot to say about it. Captain Rambo, Monica, her emergence as what could be now. It's not confirmed, but we have a general idea of where she's leading.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw her going through that hex, her eyes turned blue. I really thought we were getting Invisible Woman right there. That was gonna be the intro to the Fantastic
When she was
Four.
breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right. Because the Fantastic Four are birthed from cosmic radiation, right?
Right.
And that's exactly what Darcy said that hex wall was made of. But I think it's pretty cool. After doing a little bit of research, she's looking more like the character Spectrum, who Matt actually brought up in that conversation. Prior to the whole recording and all that. In certain comics, and she goes by a ton of different aliases, but one of them is Captain Marvel. Like, she replicates Captain Marvel to an aspect. So I think that'll be really interesting moving forward when Captain Marvel, and her inevitably meet, because they have to meet.
First off that, Matt, I don't know if you've noticed, Isiah and I have talked about this off camera too. I want to say it's it's when she's talking to Darcy. Someone references, Captain Marvel to her, or they're like, "Oh, who's powerful enough to take out Wanda?" Like, "Oh, where's Captain Marvel?" And like Monica gives like this, like, she little bit of beef going on or something. Like something might have happened in the last 20 years of the MCU timeline where, she's holding something against Captain Marvel lately.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's blaming her for not being around for, the death of her mother, but
right, yeah, that's actually a good
we've
point.
got some tension between Captain Marvel and the newly powered up Monica, so that's something to keep an eye on.
Well, I know they're probably gonna cross paths once Captain Marvel 2 comes out, but I did not notice that, so that's actually something I'll have to kind of go back and check out.
I saw a little fan theory saying, I'm sure Captain Marvel emits a ton of like cosmic radiation, or just radiation in general from her superpowers, and being around Captain Marvel so much, there's a theory that Monica's mom, that's how she got cancer, was from Captain Marvel. And then if you see an Endgame, Captain Marvel's hair is cut short, and fans also think, just as a tribute to her, she shaved her head at one point, to battle the cancer with her, because a lot of people do that when they get cancer. Best friend or a mother or someone close to you will also cut your hair just in support. So maybe that's a theory that, maybe Captain Marvel, because of Captain Marvel, her mom got cancer, or maybe that's just why Monica might have had that slight little subtle, dirty look when someone brought up Captain Marvel. But that's just something to think about, and it's a complete theory. There's really not a lot of evidence.
Hey, nothing's
to back
off the
it
table.
Up, but
I think we definitely have to talk about the main thing of this last episode with Agnes's turn. Matt was mentioning like, oh, this, I know her from something. And normally, like in movies, you understand if you see a character, you recognize their face, you're like, they're gonna have a critical role moving forward. So, and then we all had the theory, she dressed like a witch on Halloween, all that. So we all knew like it was coming, but like for some reason, like I didn't expect it in that moment. I think so much was just going on. But then like, we had the sinister music when she was going downstairs, and like it's a dungeon. That book, wow. That's I see your points, and you got answers for that. I think Doctor Strange and like his whole universe and realities, like that's key. That's huge right there. That's what we're gonna revolve around for the next 2 episodes. That book needs to end up in the right hands or out of hers. What's going on with this whole turn with Agnes moving forward?
I mean, just literally based off her name, the fact her name is Agnes, I just immediately kind of thought Agatha. Those two would correlate. So the whole show, like, I've kind of thought, and I've been waiting for this reveal to come out. But I mean, I like how she has an entire layer down in her basement that like we had no idea about. And then I was just shocked at how slow Wanda was to like realize, like, you walk down into a basement in which you control almost the entire universe of, and like immediately you don't get sussed out about it. And then she obviously, I don't know whether she is now under Agatha's control, or what exactly is going to happen.
Kind of basing it off of what Tim said to kind of kick it off with the comment about the book that we see. Agatha has in her basement. It's referenced as the Darkhold book, and then kind of bringing it back to Doctor Strange. There's a scene in Doctor Strange where like he's getting more curious and curious about like the spells, and he just wants to learn more and more to where he like sneaks into the library with the books that are kind of all off limits, and he notices that one of the books is missing. So people are kind of saying like this could be one of the books that was stolen from the Sanctum. And it's actually not the first time that they show this book. They show it in, what is it called? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In that series, they have it shown, and it ends up ending by the Ghost Rider within that series. He takes it to like the Hell Dimension, but obviously it doesn't stay there. And then it happens in the Runaways as well. Kind of going off of like how the whole ending went. Like you could tell like the whole vibe just changed. And people had said the Doctor Strange movie it's technically like categorized as a horror, and we've seen like certain horror aspects within the series already with kind of like the jump scares. Like the first jump scare you see is when she kind of looks over her back to see Vision, and it just pans to him, and it's him, after he was killed by Thanos, when he had the Mind Stone ripped out of his head. And then the other one is when they're all in like the town and during Halloween, and she looks over at Pietro and sees the bullet holes and everything like that. So it's like these subtle little jump scares. But then she's walking down into that cellar. The whole mood is just, eerie, creepy. You don't know what the hell is going to happen. So I do like the kind of darker turn that they're going towards. It's kind of a breakaway from the jocular kind of vibe that's been presented throughout the Marvel. Like it's all like a lot of jokes, a lot of like witty moments, but I definitely appreciate kind of a darker feel, a more serious tone. And then I mean a lot of things with Agatha and her bunny. So in the comics, like Agatha kind of takes Wanda in as her little like apprentice, kind of like teaches Wanda how to, use her powers. Actually, eventually killed by Wanda. And so it's this kind of look at it as like an Obi-Wan kind of Anakin kind of story, The apprentice goes against the master, vice versa. Agatha was actually like a babysitter per se for Franklin Richards, who is Sue Storm and Reed Richards' son. So that's another kind of connection they have to the Fantastic Four. Then another connection, as we were saying, the bunny's name is Senor Scratchy. Agatha's son is named Nicholas Scratch, who is predominantly a villain of the Fantastic Four. I just feel like, they keep on hinting. So, and it's a bold statement for them to say that this, I had seen that they said that this appearance of this, mystery character is going to be, Luke Skywalker and Mandalorian level. So that's a very bold statement to make.
Do you think that mystery character they haven't revealed yet is going to be a villain or a hero? Because there's a lot of speculation about, Mephisto being somehow the mastermind behind all this. I've seen some people speculate Dormammu is behind everything.
Dormammu, that's a name.
Reed Richards is a name that's been thrown around. Doctor Strange is another name that's been thrown around. And all four of these guys have not been introduced yet. So I'm just wondering, if there's another character you guys think might come into play.
I just want to bounce off that Dormammu reference real quick. So when we notice when like Agatha's using her magic, it has, how Scarlet Witch, or Wanda, she has her kind of reddish tint. When Agatha's using it, it's purple.
Yep.
So that kind of gives me vibes back to Doctor Strange and the Dark Dimension. Like I said, back in Doctor Strange, like you can see Dormammu, he's kind of like trapped in the Dark Dimension, but he's also like the ruler of the Dark Dimension. And, with all of his, like the main villain, Caecilius, played by the great Mads Mikkelsen, one of my favorite actors. Like his eyes were or his like the symbol on his forehead, his eyes were purple. So he was just under the control of the Dark Dimension. So I feel like that could also be kind of a tie-in with her magic being purple. That was another theory I saw, but that'd definitely be cool. But I saw you can never really trust anything that the Marvel actors say in an interview. They're trained like the CIA to friggin' deny or to mislead in some way.
Don't mess it up.
Right. But Paul Bettany had an interview saying that the secret character, he said it was an Avenger that we've never seen before, and that he had wanted to work with this person for a long time, and they ended up having great chemistry together. Again, that could be a misleading thing, or he could, be tossing us a bone, but we won't know.
Let's just take 5 minutes. I say we go around. We say things we want to see moving forward in the last two episodes. We'll do one each, and then we'll rotate. Vision was like so overlooked and like didn't get enough appreciation. And like one thing we're seeing a lot with Wanda is like she's just not accepting his death, how he went out, whatever. So I think for Wanda to be able to move forward with her life and like as an Avenger, she needs closure on Vision's death. So I think Vision has a huge sacrifice coming. He's gonna like die out of love for Wanda. She's gonna be able to come for peace at it, but like that's why like we have all these speculations of like these big characters coming in. I think for the sake of like Wanda, her story, and Vision, we just need that simple, Romeo and Juliet-esque like death for her to get. But we need like he's gonna sacrifice. It's just somehow, let her know like he'll be a part of her, all that corny stuff. But like he's got to do. What's his role after the show? Like the whole show is, there's none. He's got to make a sacrifice inside this hex. He can't leave it unless they find a way to, But that's one thing I want to see is definitely a poetic death for Vision.
I think that's a good point. I think like the big reason, like the entire ideal behind the hex is for her. It's almost like her school of counseling. She needs to come out of this healed, and I think a peaceful death or her being at peace with Vision's death is going to be huge. So I like what you said there. Something I want to see in the next couple episodes, and maybe we'll get into this in the next episode, the next video after the next episode, if it does happen. And it's a huge theory fans been throwing around and something we haven't even touched on yet. I don't want to go too deep into it though. Is Hayward being Ultron or just Ultron in general coming up? That would just blow my freaking mind because, the only person that actually really stopped Ultron was Vision. And Hayward has had this obsessive thing about Vision. The whole time he's making it seem like he just wants to get rid of Wanda. As Darcy showed after she, decryptified that firewall, is he's after Vision. And he had the tracker on Vision and he was literally going to let Vision just die. Like he was going to let Vision die when he was coming out of the hex. So that's really something I want to see is, the tie between Hayward and Ultron or just Ultron in general.
Well, real quick, the emergence of SWORD, like this is the first appearance of them, right? The first two acronyms are SETI and Weapon.
Yeah.
So which basically means that's it's emotion. So it's like a weapon with emotion. So like in my head, I was like, they have a whole ass organization called SWORD, and like Vision's the only like weapon with emotion I can think of, and then I was like, the only other counter is Ultron. So that could be like the whole emergence of SWORD. Matt, what do you want to see in the next two episodes?
I just want to stem off the whole Ultron point real quick. Okay. I'm sure a lot of people may know this, but if you just Google the cast of season 1 of WandaVision, the voice actor for Ultron, James Spader is he's credited. So he's credited in the cast.
See, I avoid all these things. I try to like watch it firsthand. Oh no, like that's fine. Like he's gotta be in there.
Right. So it's like
because you can't have a Wanda and Vision story without he basically birthed them both.
Exactly. So, I mean, Vision was the vessel for Ultron's body originally.
As we learned in Infinity War, like going back to Red Skull, like no villain's really ever gone in the MCU.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
a good point too.
Going forward, I think I definitely want to see some resolution with Wanda and Vision because there's just been tension boiling up until the last episode where he has to lie to her, telling her that he's got neighborhood watch, but he's doing some investigating on his own. And then he states in like the whole thing with when Pietro first shows up, Wanda's like, oh, that's not like, I didn't do that. And we're all like, yeah, okay, like you're just trying to get out of the argument. Turns out like she actually didn't do it. But then, when he's in the car with Darcy, all these like construction workers and all these roadblocks are coming in between him trying to get back to Wanda. And he states himself, it's like, oh, it's Wanda who doesn't want me to come home. I think Wanda's like trying to stop me. But again, it's Agatha.
Yeah.
So I think this is where you kind of start to feel some empathy for Wanda, where it's like, all right, like maybe, it wasn't all her, but
as we were
at the
talking
same time,
about, like they're doing a very good job of making it seem like she's, all this. And I'm going to quote Isiah on this because, again, this is another off-camera conversation we had. Where Isiah was like the whole time, like all these citizens, like when they get out, like when Vision like zaps them real quick, they're like, she has all this control, like tell her to stop. And Isiah was like, they don't say Wanda, they just say she.
Yeah.
So
that's,
like,
wow, yeah, right. And I think it's not in Wanda's character to be hurting these people while controlling them. So I think
Exactly.
that's another cool aspect. When she's like fighting with Vision too, she's like, "You honestly think like I could do all this?" And
Yeah.
it's like in our heads, it's like, yeah, we can. Like you're
I love that scene
arguably the most
when they
powerful
like.
character in the MCU. We got an
Yeah,
hour
I
long.
don't.
Hopefully, I'm hoping for that hour long episode. But.
Yeah.
We better get
Um.
it. They better not tease us again.
So, and another
No.
thing, they said that there could be a rumored episode 10. So maybe it's like, you know, when
Ooh.
they said that last 3 episodes,
Mm.
we could be approaching on the third one right now. But
All right.
again, we don't
Crazy.
know. So,
Great conversation, boys.
Yeah,
wow.
Anyone
it's
out
pretty
there
good.
who took the time? Yeah, I mean, I just can't wait to further these conversations. And we have weeks on months of ammo coming with all these
Yeah,
shows.
the
So
new
Wow.
shows. Yeah, I mean, for any listeners, if you want us to research more, I mean, Matt knows fucking. He's like fucking Vision and Ultron mixed over there. He knows everything about this stuff.
But yeah,
no,
guys.
that was
Yeah, I
great.
mean, if you tuned in, thanks for tuning in. Like Isaiah said, you know, if you got any suggestions going forward, let us know. We're more than happy to talk
Anything.
about all things Marvel.